And then Dexter Morgan planted Ryan's watch in Mia LaPierre's rental to frame her and exonerate his son.
Dexter Resurrection, Episode 6, Cats and Mouse. Another fun and enjoyable episode. And whoa, look at that. You know, Quasimodo predicted all this. One of the best aspects of this episode is the simple fact that just a few days after receiving the golden ticket that allowed him entry into Leon Prater's band of serial killers, Dexter has already taken almost all of them out in one way or another. He already took out the tattoo collector. And this was vintage Dexter where he was forced to improvise on the fly. It looked like Dex had himself a new hot girlfriend, but after learning Mia wanted a menage, and more importantly that she had no code, it was a vintage Dexter setup, serving dual purposes, where he both removed her from the playing field, and he also helped vindicate Harrison as a suspect. And now here in this episode with Gemini, Dexter stalked him, and in the library it was a vintage Dexter screw-up when he got made and was ultimately confronted by Gemini. Added bonus, we now have concrete evidence that Dexter was a big fan of The Princess Bride. Inconceivable! Dexter once again shows his mastery in the art of improvisation and hoodwinks Gemini with the old switcheroo. Dexter finishes him off without the usual open table discussion and reflection, and at this point, Dexter had already eliminated 2 of Prater's collection of serial killers, and he had another arrested in a setup. So amazingly, over the course of a mere 3 episodes, now knowing that Lady Vengeance got herself Epsteined, 3 key members of the band of serial killers are no more. But as it turns out with Gemini, there were 2 of them. How did we not see this clever twist coming? Even Quasimodo could have predicted this one. Gemini had a twin brother, and it seems obvious that, sooner or later, the surviving Gemini twin is going to try and hunt Dexter down, where I'm expecting a strong dose of forthcoming twin intuition will soon be on full display. Batista's story continues to be the most captivating aspect of Dexter Resurrection. Batista is on the prowl. He knows what time it is, and him and Rockstar Claudette both had a problem with the neatly wrapped up circumstances surrounding Foster's death, supposedly at the hands of Lady Vengeance. Of course, these 2 never got the opportunity to question Mia, because Charlie had some degenerate gambler prison guard give her the Epstein treatment. We knew Mia's days were numbered, and now we have the answer that she was iced before she could talk to Batista and Rockstar Claudette. But the key takeaway here is that Batista finally spilled the beans on Harrison's involvement in all of this, and he shared his theory that Dokes was not the real Bay Harbor butcher, but instead it was Harrison's old man, Dexter Morgan. Speaking of Harrison, Jack Alcott has been great so far this season. I've seen a lot of people make mention of this, and I am in complete agreement. I always thought his performance in New Blood was perfectly fine, and I have no doubt the actor was doing exactly what was asked of him. But here in Resurrection, the writing is far better, providing him with a better chance to shine, and he has certainly raised his game accordingly. That, I think, ties into some of the finer details here in Resurrection, where this episode had mention of both Hannah and Deb, and these are nice touches that help the entire enterprise feel more tightly connected with the original series. We also had both a mention of Dokes and an actual image of him with that drop-off bookmark through which the Gemini twins communicate. We also had last week's mention of Rita and Trinity and Dexter's role in all of that. And these are wonderful details that help tie everything together in a more satisfying and effective way than anything we got in New Blood. Dexter's desire for human connection, manifested through the relationship with his son Harrison, provides interesting chemistry between the 2 that was largely lacking in New Blood. There are some interesting parallels here with Dexter's friendship with Blessing, whose mother, dear Prudence, has sadly passed away. The scene with Dexter's very human speech to the family helps illustrate that Dexter's inclination toward human connection runs deeper than Dexter realizes, which also comes much to the surprise of Harrison. Incidentally, is blessing the New York Ripper? In any case, Harrison right now is a big liability for Dexter. He's the suspect of both Batista and Claudette, and no doubt they will now double down their efforts regarding Harrison, which will put Dexter in the crosshairs. And then the whole story with Leon Prater, he's no dummy. Sooner or later, Prater is going to discover that Dexter is an imposter, and I have no doubt whatsoever that he will figure out that Dexter is responsible for the demise of his merry band of serial killers. And I likewise have no doubt that his expertise involving serial killers will lead him to the conclusion that Dexter is indeed the Bay Harbor Butcher. We know Prater is rich and well-connected. Whether he ultimately figures out Dexter's true identity with or without an assist from Batista and rock star Claudette, I suspect he will be thrilled by this discovery. Who needs a band of second-rate serial killers if you can land the one and only Bay Harbor Butcher himself? But there is obviously something missing here, and the season has done a terrific job at maintaining a big aura of mystery surrounding Prater. I suspect it ties back into his origin story, about the orphanage and his parents being killed by a drunk driver in a car crash. That is undoubtedly a half-truth, and when we finally learn the full story, I have no doubt that it will tie back into how he first became fascinated with serial killers in the first place. I also cannot help but believe that Prater, again mentioning his FBI connection, feels like this is foreshadowing and will turn out to be someone we are already familiar with. I honestly have no idea who that will be, nor do I have any idea how many OG cast members have been confirmed to appear in Dexter Resurrection. I have no doubt Quinn will figure into the bigger story, but I don't think he's the FBI connection. Could it turn out to be Captain Matthews, even if he never appears on screen? Many suspect he always knew Dexter and Harry's dirty little secret, despite his character never showing up in Original Sin so far. Could it turn out to be another character from the original run? Regardless, I can't kick the feeling that his FBI contact will figure into this somehow or another, and I have a sneaking suspicion it will be someone we have already seen in the Dexter universe. Right now, Dexter has an awful lot of people gunning for him. Batista and rock star Claudette. And no doubt Prater's spidey senses are tingling and he will soon find out. And with his inclination toward controlling serial killers, no doubt Dexter and him are headed toward some type of showdown of their own. Then the surviving Gemini fella, he will no doubt be on Dexter's trail soon enough if he isn't already. Twin intuition and all that. The building blocks are all in place for the type of intensity that once drove the show. Something I touched on in my recent video about Rita being the glue that held the franchise together. After Rita's demise, the intensity level was never the same. But so far in Dexter Resurrection, so good. They've managed to recreate a lot of that vintage intensity that once made the show great. And as such, they are actually managing to do what I never thought possible, making Dexter great again. I sure am fired up to see how these last 4 episodes wrap up. Quick note, I am almost certainly not going to be able to do a review next week, as I have family visiting. I will do my very best to try and at least get a quickie done if I can manage, but I don't think that's going to happen, and by the time I'll be ready to do a proper review, it will probably be cutting it too close to the next episode. My sincere apologies in advance. Regardless, I will absolutely be covering the last 3 weeks, and I really am fired up to see how they wrap up the season. What do you think so far? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful night.
Dexter Morgan. Now, when I heard the details of Ryan Foster's body being chopped up into 9 pieces, exactly the M.O. of the Bay Harbor Butcher,
Need I remind you, gentlemen, that I have connections at every level of law enforcement, including the FBI.
What did she tell you?
She told me to leave the past behind me, only move forward.
I'm confident she'll be interested in what I have to say.
Maybe. So far, she's not talking.
Well, my guess is I'm the only one here hoping to clear her of a charge.
And to never, ever bring the darkness into my home.
You tell Ocho to pay her rent, or I'll take other measures. Comprende? Goddamn lowlifes.
When it all goes down, believe me, you'll understand. But for now, the less you know, the better.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.